Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday morning, which means Wargame Weekly episode number 2. I'm John Caspian,
And I'm John Galvin.
and we're going to be talking about all things wargaming. We've got so much cool stuff, including potential leaks, for new GW stuff that's coming out, which is very exciting.
Yeah, so this was basically something that was revealed around the same time as Spiel. We'll be going over the Spiel announcements, but it also kind of ties into this leak as well. Uh, we'll also be going over some of the new games coming out in the next couple of weeks, including Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Oh yeah, I'm super pumped for that one.
Yeah.
It's going to be sweet. So first off, let's talk about what we've been up to the last week. So John, what have you been playing / painting this week?
I have been painting and playing both Age of Sigmar. I'm getting ready for the practice tournament that is this upcoming weekend. Actually, tomorrow, Saturday morning. It's going to be a 2,000 point tournament for Age of Sigmar. It's basically following the same rule set that we intend to use for the big Grand Clash coming up mid-November. So we are uh, getting ready for that, and it's really, really exciting, and also a little bit stressful because it's a big tournament, and yeah, I haven't played in a big tournament since the beginning of October with Crucible.
Nice. Well, also we have over a dozen people signed up,
Right.
or is it 2 dozen now?
So for the Grand Clash, we have almost 40 people signed up. For the practice tournament, I want to say it's about 20 people signed up already.
Oh
So
heck yeah!
it's going to be a really popular day. So I'm really excited to see what people bring and
That's awesome.
how badly I get.
So I got to play some Wild West Exodus last weekend,
Oh yeah,
and for those of you who don't know, we stock it at Gigabytes Cafe. Highly recommend you get into it if you like skirmish style games, and the fact that they have such a varied kind of unit types and everything. I even grabbed some Union skirmishers with General Custer. It's
nice.
like 20 different dudes fighting alongside with Custer. You can kind of line them all up. It's pretty cool. It's a great game. Lots of, like any other good skirmish game, it's lots of rules interactions, which is very interesting. So picking out your posse and who you're taking with your force is very important. But I love it. Very fun.
Nice.
Yeah, and also painting that. So I have some photos I posted in like the Gigabytes painting and conversion corner. Got some aliens here that I painted, and also been doing some conversions to work on that recently.
Oh, very cool.
Heck yeah!
That's super exciting.
All right, so let's talk about these leaks.
Yeah. So this was brought to my attention basically with the reveals yesterday at Spiel. But supposedly, these leaks come from a South American distributor that needs at least 2 months' notice in advance before they receive any shipment from Games Workshop. And one of the people at that company put this list online. So we have not only a list of items for a majority of these things, but we also have a couple of release dates for some of it. So it's kind of exciting. John, I'm not sure. Do you have the pictures to put up or?
Getting it right now.
Okay, cool. So we'll put the pictures up right now. But there's a couple exciting things that we haven't seen yet, but a lot of it is what we already know, especially from Spiel. The first one being the Ogre Team. Now, it seems like the Ogre Team had a rename somewhere down the line because they were called the Oldheim Ogres, which I personally like that name a lot, but I also think it was probably a good idea in terms of like new players and people outside of the joke of the world that was to rename them to the like Fire Mountain Ogres. So uh, that's one of the things, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are skeptical about this proposed leak list, is because some of the names have changed a little bit, but it is it looks fairly legit from someone who deals with Games Workshop on a weekly basis in terms of how the spreadsheet was made and the items listed and all that sort of stuff. So,
Okay, so I showed their Ogre Team. And actually, I'll make sure I get to the latest one. So then, if I'm looking at these numbers, like the Christmas release, like the Red Gobbo,
mm-hmm.
that's close to Christmas.
Yeah, we already know that that was coming. So this is adding to the validity to the list. The Red Gobbo was listed as an item debuting this year to go against the White Dwarf. Now, also on that list were other items that we were expecting. Basically, the Necromunda release that was also previewed at Spiel, which is uh, the new. I guess I'm assuming it's the new box set. So it's going to replace the Goliath versus the Escher, and it
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the um, oh
Palanite Enforcers.
right. And do you remember the name of the new Chaos guys?
I
They look
literally was looking at it this
yeah.
morning, so I feel bad for not.
No, I me too. I've been going back to that article back and forth, and I can't remember the name for the life of me.
I'm huge on the terrain. Like I've already got some Palanite Enforcers, so I'm kind of good for those, I guess. But if these ones comes with a shield, I'm definitely getting that set for sure.
Yeah. So
But that terrain is ridiculously good.
yeah, and it looks like you're getting 11 Palanite Enforcers and 20 of the Chaos guys, which seems like an incredible deal to start off with. Plus that terrain. I have no idea how much this box set's going to cost, but I'm assuming it's going to be like the same value that you normally get, especially for Necromunda.
Yeah,
So
and then according to the spreadsheet, it's like zone. Is it Zone Mortalis?
yeah, Zone
Okay.
Mortalis. So they will be releasing the terrain separately. Looks like relatively quickly. Um, Another thing that was confirmed, or that this list kind of confirms, is the holiday box sets that are coming. We had
Ooh,
received rumors about this, and what this list does is it kind of cements a lot of those rumors by giving names to those box sets that sound very Games Workshop-y. Like the Night Haunts are the box set's called Court of the Craven King, which
right.
to me, is in line. And we knew, or we had seen the rumors before that there would be Night Haunts, Skaven, Stormcast, and what's that last one?
Like it says, is it the Dominion of
Goblins.
Sigmar? Those box sets?
So it should be on one of them. It should be like the the battle force, the like cave loon gets kind of thing. So
Gotcha, gotcha. I'll see if I can find it. Oh yeah, Night Haunt Court of the Craven King. Yeah, I see it.
right,
See if we can pull it over.
and so these are all, I guess, more or less validating of rumors that I've seen before. And the exciting part to, I guess, all of this is one, we're seeing New Star collecting for the new Chaos Space Marines, New Star collecting for just Primaris Space Marines, and then finally Slaves to Darkness. This was one of the ones that we weren't sure when it was coming or what it would entail. But Slaves to Darkness has been one of the most, I don't want to say like neglected of the Age of Sigmar lines, but it was one of the ones that didn't basically receive any new models for the longest time period on account of its existing range being so huge. So it's nice to see it get updated, and not only is it getting updated, but they're also seeing endless spells. Endless spells for the Chaos guys should be a lot of fun. It'll be really interesting to see what they get, especially if it's not necessarily god centric, like Khorne, Nurgle, or Tzeentch, but more so generic evilly demon spells. Uh, and so
Well,
those
they've
guys,
got things like look down here. It says Kill Team Annual 2019. Ooh,
right? And so I'm not sure with the Kill Team annual release if that's basically a compilation of all the other books that they've released to this point, or maybe it's going to be something like the chapter approved where they address balance updates and things like that on there. So it'll be really interesting to see in terms of what an annual is. I'm hoping it's kind of like the mini book from Age of Sigmar that they just released, where they took the General's Handbook and a lot of the other releases and combined them into one nice little playbook, so you don't have to run around with like 4 or 5 tomes.
right. It's always an issue.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. The bookkeeping, I mean, like, thankfully, we live in a day and age where, you can get all those books on your phone, which is great, but I'm much more of a tactile person. Like, I want to have the books with me. Uh,
Yeah, flipping through pages is way easier.
yeah, and so I like playing armies that use the least amount of books, and Games Workshop updating things like that makes it definitely possible. So that's kind of exciting for me, I guess. Uh,
Oh heck yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
yeah,
So many good releases.
yeah,
Ah,
no. So, like, and something to note, these are like 3 spreadsheet pages of releases. There is a tremendous amount coming. The new Sisters of Battle box set, the or not the holiday box sets, Slaves to Darkness, New Necromunda. We have New Blood Bowl. We also have, it looks like a store release version of Dreadfane, which is really exciting. So
Nice.
Dreadfane was the Barnes and Noble, like, kid friendly version of Warhammer Underworlds, and we weren't able to get it because we're not a big box retailer, no matter how big people actually think we are. So Dreadfane looks like it's getting a LGS release, which is really exciting, especially to me, because I hear those war bands for Warhammer Underworlds are really good, and it gives me an opportunity to pick it up here as opposed to having to go hunt that down at the 3 Barnes and Nobles that still exist in the world.
And it has Psychic Awakening, Blood of Baal, and then
Yes.
the other one was Faith and Fury.
So we've heard about Faith and Fury, and we were pretty sure about what was going to be in it, but this more or less kind of cements that down. It should be a new codex supplement for Black Templars in Faith and Fury, plus some
Sweet.
additional rules for other models in that campaign. We should also be seeing some sort of buff to Emperor's Children, whether that's like new models in the line or something new. We don't necessarily know what's going to be in there. The exciting part of Blood of Baal is that you can see that there's a new Mephiston coming.
Yes.
And the new Mephiston means Plastic Primaris version of him, which to me is definitely really, really cool, especially since I've always liked the Mephiston model. He always looked really unique, especially for like a Space Marine. And now I'm excited to see if he's staying. I'm assuming he's going Primaris just because of how things go, but I'm kind of excited to see how that works.
Oh yeah, I want to see the base that he's on because all of these newer models have these cool like 3-inch tall bases. Is what it
Yeah,
seems like.
yeah. I'm curious if he's going to be just on like the ground of Ball, or if he's going to be like stepping over Tyranids and such. Um, and this also shows that Hormagaunts and the Hive Tyrant are getting reboxes, which is great because they're one of the oldest boxes around. Those boxes are from when I started playing Warhammer 40k uh, back in like high school for me, which I don't want to say what year that was, but it's a long time ago.
Bef- Before cell phones.
Oh, no, I had like a little flip phone. It was great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, like the indestructible
I
one.
never had one until like college, but yeah.
Hold on one second. There's a delivery at the door, John, but keep going through the reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. So then let's go through some more of these. I'm not sure if y'all be able to see these on your screens, but we're just looking at these. Now, I'm not sure if these battle forces are the ones that have already come out because it says Blood Angels Battle Force. And if these are different, like Drakari Battle Force, that's very interesting. I wonder if they're going to be the classic, like it could be. They've been doing themes with the battle forces. So for instance, when I got the Necrons, it's an Outrider detachment, which is like fast-moving units. They've got the what are these things called? I'm building some right now, Tomb Blades. And normally you don't think about Tomb Blades that much, but they've got those in that battle force. So I'm curious what this Drakari battle force. If y'all have any ideas of what these battle forces could be, or what you would like in the battle forces, just put them in the comments there. Really excited. I like that they're changing the big FAQ to really be about chapter approved. That keeps it in one condensed space for basically a book sake. That way you don't have 2 FAQs plus the chapter approved. And they talked about that a little bit. Space Wolves players, curious if they're. I mean, they've had the Primaris Space Wolves start collecting, but it was really just like custom shoulder pads. It didn't feel a whole lot like Space Wolves. So hopefully the Space Wolves battle force will feel more so. And then for the Tau, I'm curious if they're going to go with that whole gun line with a bunch of fire warriors, or if they're going to go heavier on the vehicles, because that's always a thing to think about. And then, yeah, all of that stuff for all of the AOS stuff. That's great. And then let's see what else we got here. All of these for this new Ossiarch Bone Reapers, all of that stuff is super cool looking. And I'm thinking I'm probably not going to have them in a bone color when I paint them up. I'm not sure if I'm going to have them in
Somebody
bone
say
color.
Bone Reapers.
Yeah.
uh,
I'm thinking about having him kind of flesh toned. It would be really creepy.
so it's actually really cool. They released an article yesterday about the different sub factions of the Bone Reapers. Now, John, get this. Uh, one of the factions, or one of the different forces of the Asiatic Bone Reapers, I'll call it the Petrifex Elite, which are
Ooh,
made up of fossils. So, you know what I'm playing.
I love it.
But there's also there's a lot of really cool sub factions for the Asiatic Bone Reapers. So if you don't like dinosaurs as much as me, which you know
Does
I
anyone?
understand, well, I'm sure there's other people out there. Emily likes dinosaurs a lot, um, but there's a really cool sub faction called the Crematorium, John, which are Asiatic Bone Reapers that are burning from the inside out, and yeah, so it's a really cool
Ooh,
way.
LEDs, baby.
Well, yeah, LEDs, like, they would take perfectly to LEDs. Uh, but also you can basically spray them like a bright orange, yellow, or red, and then kind of like dry brush black over it. It's kind of how they look. But they explode when you kill them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sub factions in that army that give you actually a way different variety of play. Uh, there's also the I can't remember their names, but there's more or less Bone Reapers that are so against spells that they can cancel spells on a 5-up, targeting them. Uh,
Whoa.
they also have magical sword or anti-magic swords that can cut through the strongest barriers. Uh, there's a subfaction that really focuses heavily on the cavalry, and another one of the subfactions that I really like is the one from the realm of beasts. So all of their army is made from animal bones as opposed to the bones of, like, the civilized races. And
You could say they're great.
yeah, they are great. Uh,
That was bad.
yeah, it's fine. But when you damage them, it kind of pulls out their bestial tendencies. So it's kind of an interesting take on it. They are restrained and orderly until they start getting the thick of things, and then they kind of let their true nature show. Uh,
Interesting. I
yeah,
like that. It's kind of like going to the gym.
yeah. And it's just like, you're all doing like your nice little like cardio, but then you start like lifting weights, and you just all grunts. Uh,
Exactly. You're like, "Rawr."
but it's one of those things that I really enjoy that Games Workshop has done, and I know I've talked about it before. But adding the sub factions in gives you ways of customizing the play of your army, and also emphasizes on units that you might like over others. So if you
Mhm.
like running a bunch of infantry and swarming around, taking the main color scheme of the Outsider Bone Reapers, those are going to be like the elite military ones. Or also the crematorium, where you want to have as many bodies as possible because they're technically all little bombs, um, which is a lot of fun. Uh, but they do the same thing with Maw Tribes. Maw Tribes just came out with the article today where literally there's a different tribe out there for all sorts of different play styles, whether you want to be up close and personal in combat, or if you want to be casting spells, or just trying to blast people apart with your lead belchers and scrap launchers and all that fun stuff.
It's gonna be great. And I've been waiting for Ogre since I got my Beast Claw Raiders,
Yeah,
and that was a couple years ago.
and so the fact that they combine Maw Tribes and Beast Call Raiders into a single book, similar to Orc War Clans, just gives you a lot more options. So we haven't seen the exact layout on how you're going to be able to list build, whether you're going to be able to mix and match like a great WOG for the War Clans. But either way, uh, new books always means new possibilities and new ways to play. Uh, and they also took into thought with Beastclaw Raiders. So your Beastclaw Raiders models basically count as multiple models in terms of controlling points. So uh, they used to have an issue taking objectives, because objectives is usually based on the number of models nearby.
Right.
Well, Beastclaw Raiders, you're bringing like five an entire list.
Oh,
So
sweet.
you'd get. I mean, it sounds great, but you'd lose games very quickly because your opponent could just put 20 skeletons on a point, and there's no way you can contest that until you kill them down uh, just completely wipe them out.
Yeah, I was saying sweet in the fact that you can have multiple. They count as multiple models for
Right, yeah.
capture points. Because having played them, that it was exactly the problem.
And so now they at least count as like, I think your heroes count as like 10 models, which gives you a huge leg up in terms of controlling points now.
Sweet.
And so if people want to play that really elite army, and it's also kind of a one of the cheaper ones because once again you can play a full list with maybe 2 or 3 start collectings. Like that would be
I
well
think
over
it's two. Yeah, three. I think because you'd have extras if you had three.
yeah. So like getting 3 star collectings would give you enough to kind of like mix and match what you want, but it would fill out
But you
that.
get a couple of new ogre models
Yeah,
and then 2-star collectings. Heck yeah.
absolutely. So it's something to think about. I personally love those models a lot, just because of that like primal hunter kind of feel to it. So especially if you've seen the Tartanovsky series Primal, and you want to get some like Cro-Magnon man action.
I should paint them with unibrows.
Oh my god, that would be great! Like they are
That's a
just
good idea. Thank you.
yeah, no, no problem. I look forward to seeing all of your unibrows. Can you call them like unibrow tribe? Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. And then I'm gonna make sure the beasts also have unibrows.
Oh man, you can easily sculpt that with green stuff too. Make them all look.
Yes, like really thick, like come forward a lot.
Yeah. Who is it?
Yeah.
Slijum from the Muppets is the big elephant.
Yes.
No, he's not an elephant. He's just that big
Big dude.
monster. Yeah, yeah. Make
Yeah,
all the
like
monster
that.
Muppets.
Exactly like that. That's a good idea. The Unbrow tribe. I love it.
But yeah, so this release schedule, this proposed release schedule from uh, this leak, just means that the next 3 months are going to be jam packed with Games Workshop releases, which is no surprise. It's holiday season. Um, there will literally be a Christmas purchase for pretty much any gamer you know from Games Workshop. But let's switch over to Crisis Protocol. Uh,
Good segue, John.
because I've been doing this for a while. Um, Marvel Crisis Protocol is coming from Atomic Mass Studios or Atomic Mass Games, um, and it is the Marvel uh, skirmish game we have all been waiting for. Even if you didn't know you've been waiting for it, this game releases November 15th. We get our demo set in today, and it should be like a week, maybe a little bit more to get everything painted. But then we'll be able to have games up in here at Gigabytes. Uh, this game is phenomenal, and I've had the opportunity to test it out at conventions and all that. But I was talking to one of the developers, and one of the great things about it is since that there's no hard factions, uh, everyone can make as diverse of a list as they want to, just right off the get go. Uh, when I was playing it, I got to choose what characters I played, and I was just like, "Oh, I want to play the bad guys." They're like, "Well, you don't have to play just the bad guys. You could, say, oh, hey, Iron Man and MODOK have made a temporary alliance together, even though one person is considered the good guy and the other one's the bad guy, but they both kind of want the same thing, and they need to stop Ultron from grabbing it, right?" So
Mm-hmm.
it's a really exciting like narrative building kind of game, simply because in comics there's been all sorts of crazy alliances and reasons to team up, and these figures, for those that don't know, they're sculpted gorgeously. They have their own style to them, so they're not necessarily like the MCU style or the current comic styles. It's kind of a mix and interpretation of all these different things together, and they're all sculpted in hard plastic, so they're going to be very close to how you see Games Workshop kits come. So the detail is crisp and clean. The models assemble very easily, and painting them up, since it's Marvel Comics has almost 100 years of history of different uniforms and different people playing those characters, you can really be as creative as you want. Uh,
Hydra Captain America.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
you can do Hydra Captain America, which is really great. You can, what is it? I think Akira was talking about painting his Spider Man as Spider Man. which was the 1970s Japanese adaptation, live action
Nice.
adaptation of Spider-Man, which was amazing. Um, but like you can really you can paint him as the black suit, the Venom suit Spider-Man if you wanted to. Uh, it's really really cool the freedom that you actually have. And one of the things that this game brings to the table that a lot of other games don't necessarily take advantage of as much is destructible terrain or interactable terrain. So you're playing these giant, bigger than life characters. Uh, you're playing the Hulk, so you want to be able to pick up a car and throw it at someone. Well, you absolutely can. And not only are there rules for doing that, but there's rules on the card for doing that. It's not like a rule subset that you have to agree upon to use. It is
Hmm.
part of the game. So part of the game is interacting with the terrain by either moving it, destroying it, uh, throwing it at someone, stepping on it. So you could have a guy on, like, a cargo container. However, Modoc uses his mind powers to, you know, like a poor magician, yank it out from underneath him and then pitch it somewhere else. Uh, it's a lot of fun and it keeps the game very cinematic and interactive. So I know I've been like gushing about it, but I've been really excited for it. And not only is the release date just around the corner, but they are starting to preview uh, release waves coming out. So we know right after the game releases, we're going to be getting the Wakanda guys in. So Black Panther, Killmonger, Shuri, Okoye, and then we're also getting Venom. But soon after that, we're seeing the Asgardians. So Thor,
Sweet.
Loki, Hela, and Valkyrie are all coming out. And then yesterday they kind of blew the lid on the big bad. The Mad Titan Thanos is coming. Not only is he arriving in the game in March, but he comes with his own like scenic base, which is his throne. Uh, and it's really neat because they're showing that these models might be multi-part kits, or at least some of them. Because
Hmm.
Thanos, you can play him either with Infinity Gauntlet or you can build him without it. So
Interesting.
yeah, it really is.
Now, did it look to me like you could slide his base into the scenic base?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, like even if you never decide to play Thanos, he's an absolutely gorgeous desk piece. Just because his base fits in perfectly with his little scenic base, so it's more or less a diorama ready to go. Uh, but you'll probably want to play as Thanos because who doesn't want to do that? I know
Right.
the moment that this game was announced, uh, one of my friends, Tommy, has been obsessed with the idea that Thanos is coming. I mean, how could he not be coming? He is
Right.
inevitable, right? Eh?
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Um, but we also knew that the Black Order were previewed at the release announcement at Gen Con. So uh, the idea that Thanos would probably show up is right on the money.
That's awesome. So then I'm going to show the picture of people for people to see. So if you want to watch a review that goes over the unboxing and everything, look up Gorilla Miniature Games, which
Yeah,
is Ash Barker. You can look that up on YouTube. But the Daily Bugle here, there's 2 street lights, 2 street lamps, 2 cars. Those are all hard plastic
yep.
and assemblable.
And they come in the box set.
Assemblable? Is that a word?
Sure.
I think it's close enough.
They,
So all of these models are in it. So I think that's 10 of them. Then you can play 5 versus 5 if you want to.
yep.
And then it shows that you can take what effectively is a faction bonus if you take certain models
Correct.
in that list, but you don't have to. It's
Yeah.
just a little bonus you take if you want to make it thematic.
Yeah, and so obviously, like, there'll be the Avengers, there'll be the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Asgardians, the Cabal, um, the Spider Verse. All of these things are in the game, ready to, you know, be taken advantage of as a theme. So if you wanted to restrict yourself to thematic choices, then obviously you get bonuses to it, which is really smart. But once again, if there's another reason to play, you know, these characters together because you like the rules interaction, or maybe you just like a hodgepodge of characters and you don't necessarily care about the Avengers, but you're like, man, I really like Captain America, but I also like Ultron. Let's just throw them together and play that way. Uh,
Heck yes.
yeah, so it is really exciting. And I know there was actually a really long discussion on the Crisis Protocol Facebook group about, you know, oh, I want to see this character versus this character. Listen, I know everyone has their favorites, whether it's the X-Men. Um, Me, I obviously like a lot of the villains, the dinosaur themed villains. Uh, they have the license from Marvel, and I want to say Asmodee just signed a contract to continue that license for a long time. So as long as people are buying Marvel Crisis Protocol and playing the game, they will eventually get to everyone. So uh, keep your hopes up. But as of right now, it looks like they're focusing on the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Thanos and the Black Order and the Avengers and all that. But I'm pretty sure sooner or later they'll get to everyone's favorites, whether that's Ghost Rider or X-Men or heck, maybe even Alpha Flight one day, especially for all those Canadian wargamers out there. So,
So exciting.
yeah.
It's awesome.
But we basically have some pre-order bundles right now, and the pre-order bundles are good until the release of the game on November 15th. So definitely keep an eye on those. And if you are interested, even in a little bit in Marvel Crisis Protocol, take advantage of the deal that we have. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I highly recommend the game from the bit that I've played, and I've always been a little bit on the reticent side on Fantasy Flight stuff because of the widgets and the cards and all that sort of stuff. But this is a really, really solid game, and it's a lot of fun. And it doesn't necessarily focus on competitiveness like a lot of other skirmish games do. It's more about storytelling and action and having fun. I've played several versions and several demos, and whether I've won or lost, I've always had a good time because who isn't having a good time when they crush Spider-Man with a shipping container?
So cool.
Yeah. So Marvel Crisis Protocol releases on November 15th. We have the Games Workshop proposed lineup from this leak. So that will be basically November through December. Yeah, and then we have the Age of Sigmar tournament tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9 a.m. Be here. If you guys are interested in Age of Sigmar, just want to check it out, come see the community. It's a bunch of great people, and they have really done a lot of work about building up the community, making things look awesome, and more importantly, focusing on fun above all else. So, yeah. John, anything else you want to add for
I got lots to talk about, but I think we can kind of spread it out over the next couple of months because we got holiday stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of new releases. I've got skirmish stuff that I want to talk about, but we'll do all of that next week because we're pretty much done with our time.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for joining and listening to me ramble. And John, thank you so much for getting all those graphics ready and showing it off to the fine people watching. So
great as always, John. Thanks for watching, folks, and we look forward to seeing you next week on episode number 3 of Wargame Weekly.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.